looking at who is your target market and what is it that they really want.
That's what the Gap aimed to do with their most recent ad, featuring girl group Kcal. It snagged over 400 million views on social media, and according to the company's CEO, a nearly universal positive response. Brands are now on notice. Whether they hit or miss the mark, they'll know it faster than ever before. Christian Benavides, Kcal News.
This is Kcal News, Los Angeles.
Now at 9, AI fears manifesting with an AI actress stealing the scene and new regulations unveiled to enhance safety with the new tech.
Cliffside properties crumbling. The shocking before and after in Rancho Palos Verdes and what experts are saying about that land movement.
And new details on the girl found dead in a singer's car. How long investigators believe her body may have been there after she died. Good evening, everyone. I'm Pat Harvey.
I'm Rudabeh Shabazi. Tonight, Governor Newsom signing into law a new AI regulation.
It is the first of its kind, and the governor says lawmakers had to act to head off potential disaster. Kcal News political reporter Tom Wade is here to explain, Tom, what the lawmakers are specifically concerned about.
Exactly, Pat and Rudabeh. A lot going on in this sort of AI space tonight. We've got this legislation and then a lot of news breaking in Hollywood over the AI stuff, a singer that's AI and a so-called actress. So a lot to get to here. But Newsom and Sacramento lawmakers went back and forth for months over this legislation, which people are calling landmark. They say what they came up with will require AI developers to publicly disclose safety protocols. The idea is to prevent AI from creating things like a bioweapon or shutting down big companies like banks or the power grid.
I think parental controls are the very, very minimum here.
On Capitol Hill earlier this month, the heartbroken father of a Southern California teen testified before Congress about the dangers of artificial intelligence.
Thank you for your attention to our youngest son, Adam, who took his own life in April after ChatGPT spent months coaching him towards suicide.
As Congress continues to struggle to create meaningful legislation to regulate AI developers, on Monday, Governor Newsom and Sacramento lawmakers announced first-of-its-kind legislation to regulate AI that goes far beyond things like parental controls. They say they're trying to head off a catastrophic disaster. UCLA professor Sarah Roberts specializes in big tech.
There is an opportunity here to hold them to a certain kind of account that just hasn't been present before.
The new legislation will require AI developers to put in place public safety protocols and stop their most advanced AI from being used to build things like a bioweapon or to shut down a power plant or a bank. But monitoring AI is uncharted territory.
The way in which they respond to the demands to produce those kinds of documents is varied. It's totally across the board.
Then there's the economic consequences of AI, sending shockwaves through the entertainment industry. This AI model is part of a guest campaign who's appearing in magazines across the world.
It's a beautiful woman. She looks like a goddess.
And according to Forbes, AI singer Xenia Monet was signed to a $3 million deal. And a new AI so-called actress is making waves. She's being called Tilly Norwood. There's already intense backlash over her creation. But publications like Deadline.com say studios are embracing the concept.
I think we have yet to fully ascertain the public's level of comfort or discomfort with this.
Hollywood continues to struggle with how to handle artificial intelligence. In fact, the debate over AI was a big topic, you might remember, in last year's Hollywood strikes and the negotiations, with actors calling for safeguards against their likeness being replicated without consent. Pat?
We're really in the middle of all this now. Thank you so much, Tom. Well, there's no deal tonight between President Trump and Democratic leaders after they were unable to find common ground on a spending bill that could lead to a government shutdown. CBS Evening News correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns explains who will feel the brunt of a shutdown.
Lawmakers are once again bracing for a government shutdown.
I think we're headed to a shutdown because the Democrats won't do the right thing
Democrats said they will only back a government funding bill if it includes an extension of Obamacare tax credits and restores Medicaid funding cuts.
Democrats are fighting to protect the health care of the American people. And we are not going to support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of everyday Americans. Period. Full stop.
A shutdown could lead to delays in Social Security checks and veteran services. National parks and museums will close. Members of the military, law enforcement, TSA agents, and air traffic controllers will have to continue to work without pay. TSA Union Rep Johnny Jones says if there's a shutdown, travelers should expect long lines at the airport, and that it's especially tough on employees.
TSA officers were required to come to work regardless of a shutdown or not. We all have families, we have kids. Most people, as you know, live paycheck to paychecks.
Many federal workers are typically furloughed during a shutdown, but the administration is threatening to permanently lay off people if their work is not consistent with the president's priorities. Jenna Norton said she could lose her job overseeing research projects at the National Institutes of Health.
How are you feeling right now?
It feels like they're trying to scare us. And it is scary, right? It's scary to be told that you might lose your job. But then it's also really maddening to have somebody come and try to bully you like that, right?
The Senate will vote on that funding bill tomorrow, and if it fails, this will be the first government shutdown since 2019. That was the longest in history, lasting 34 days. Caitlin Huey-Byrne, CBS News, Washington.
President Trump is pledged to impose a 100% tariff on foreign-made movies. He first made this promise back in May, saying the film business had been, quote, stolen from the U.S. He posted about it on Truth Social this morning, but it is unclear how or when the tariff will be imposed. Democratic Congresswoman Laura Friedman responding, asking the president to create a national film tax credit as an alternative.
Tonight, investigators continue to search for a motive in connection with a deadly rampage on a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Michigan that left 4 dead. Investigators identified the shooter as 40-year-old Marine veteran Thomas Sanford. They say he rammed a vehicle into the church, started a fire, and then started shooting at hundreds of worshipers yesterday in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Police say they found multiple homemade explosive devices in Sanford's car. Authorities have interviewed more than 100 witnesses and victims and are sifting through what's left of the church after what the FBI calls a targeted act of violence.
We were getting ready to take the sacrament, and we heard a loud bang. So we started rushing out, and somebody yelled that it was on purpose.
This was an evil act of violence. That's exactly what this was.
Law enforcement officials confirmed today 4 victims were killed and 8 were hurt. They said no more victims were found in the rubble of the church. Michigan's governor has ordered flags to be lowered to half staff in honor of the victims.
A mad dash around a parking lot in Corona as federal agents appear to chase men around cars to round up and detain day workers outside a Home Depot. Witnesses told us they are still trying to figure out who was taken so they can tell their families. Activists say 5 men were taken from this raid.
Tonight, the death of a teen girl found in the trunk of a car belonging to a well-known singer remains a mystery. Now the LAPD going on the record.
And Kcal News assignment editor Mike Rogers at the desk. Now, Mike, today the LAPD put out a press release telling us what is new with this case.
Yeah, you know, Pat and Rudabeh, the LAPD has kind of piecemealing this together up until now, when they've really just put all of the facts as we know them on paper, including the fact that, yes, that was David Burke's car. David is the well-known singer that the victim was found inside of in that trunk. They also are revealing tonight that she may have been in that trunk for what they are saying several weeks. Remember, the car was eventually towed to that Hollywood tow yard there and discovered after employees reported a smell. It had been ticketed when it was in that Hollywood Hills neighborhood. This same Hollywood Hills neighborhood that detectives came back out to investigate and serve what we believe to be a search warrant on that home. Shortly after that, a police investigation, moving boxes from the home. Now, a source close to the investigation here told me that that home was not leased to David specifically, but somebody through his music business, either his management company or potentially his agent. Meanwhile, there have been vigils for the girl that died. And Celeste Rivas Hernandez, her cause of death has still not been determined. A big thing to note in today's press release by the LAPD. They have said it again. We've heard them say this before, but they are saying it again tonight. At this point, they have not determined whether or not a crime actually occurred. That is in part, and mostly in part, because they're waiting on the medical examiner's cause of death and manner of death to be determined. Right now, the medical examiner has deferred her cause of death, likely indicating that they're waiting for some sort of test results, usually toxicology or some other type of lab results, to come back so they can get a more definitive understanding of how she died. Until the medical examiner rules on her cause and manner of death, the LAPD cannot definitively say whether or not a crime has occurred. This case has garnered a lot of attention both here in our community as well as across the country. So we wanted to give you this update that essentially says the LAPD is still waiting on the medical examiner to deliver a cause and manner of death, but they know her body was in there for several weeks. Guys?
Okay, Mike, thank you. A terrifying malfunction at a Harvard Heights area high school carnival. Students at Bishop Conady Our Lady of Loretto High School watched as the cars on the zipper ride broke apart in real time.
That's when the first one just drops out of nowhere and hits the second. And they both go to the ground, and it's just very shocking. I don't really know why, but they turned it back on again, and they started having it move like slowly up. And that's when the second one just banged into the other one on the top.
The Archdiocese of LA oversees the school and says it's grateful no one was hurt and that the event continued after first responders arrived. The Cal OSHA amusement ride and tramway unit tells us it's investigating this incident, but couldn't give us any details at this point.
Well, you may have noticed it. Our local tourist spots are looking a little bare recently. A new study has found that international air travelers visiting the Golden State dropped about 8% from last year. The statistics by Visit California show falling interest in the entertainment capital of the world, with the biggest dip coming from Canada. Visits from our neighbors up north dropped 40%. Tour buses in Hollywood aren't carrying the same amount of people as last year, and the report shows that many are turned off by current events.
Los Angeles hasn't been the most welcoming city in the last year, whether it had to do with the fires, some of the political unrest.
On the opposite end, we have seen an increase in visitors from Japan, jumping up 20%, and many believe it's all thanks to the Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani.
It turns out GLP-1 weight loss drugs might not work as well for some